The contractions hit like lightning at 3 a.m. I gripped the nightstand, teeth clenched, waiting for it to pass. Then I saw it, the notification glowing on my phone. An email from Peterson and Associates Legal Services. Subject line, custody filing confirmed Thompson versus Thompson. My hands shook as I opened it. Michael had filed for full custody of our daughter while I was in active labor. While I was bringing our second child into this world, he was in a lawyer's office, planning to take our first one away. But let me back up. Where are you listening from tonight? Hit subscribe if this feels too familiar. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Nothing romantic about it. I was cramming for finals, nursing program, 3rd year. He was at the next table, complaining loudly about his professor. I looked up, annoyed, ready to tell him to quiet down. Then he smiled. One of those grins that makes you forget what you were mad about. 3 months later, he moved into my tiny apartment. 6 months after that, I found out I was pregnant with Emma. We got married at the Justice of the Peace, me in a yellow sundress from Target, him in khakis and a button-down. No flowers, no family. Just us and a $2 ring from the pharmacy. For a while, it felt like we were building something real. He'd wake up early to make me breakfast before my hospital shifts. He'd rub my feet when I came home exhausted. We danced to old music in our kitchen, Emma giggling in her high chair. Then things shifted. Slowly at first. The way they always do. It started with his phone, always face down now. Always on silent. New hospital policy, he'd say. No personal calls during shifts. I was a nurse, I knew that wasn't true. But I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. Then there was Jessica. My sister. We'd been close since we were kids. She was the one who held my hair back when I was sick, who helped me study for nursing school, who cried when Emma took her first steps. She started coming around more after I got pregnant the second time. Bringing groceries, helping with Emma, staying for dinner. Too many dinners. I'd catch them whispering in the kitchen. See her wearing his old college sweatshirt. I was cold, she'd laugh when I asked. Michael lent it to me. Don't be weird about it. But I was being weird about it, wasn't I? Because Michael stopped touching me. Stopped asking about my day. Started working late shifts that didn't exist. Started sleeping in the guest room because of my restless sleeping. I made excuses. Maybe pregnancy hormones were making me paranoid. Maybe the stress of another baby was getting to him. Maybe I was just tired, just insecure, just wrong. I wasn't wrong. The signs were everywhere if I'd let myself see them. The way Jessica knew which grocery store Michael preferred. How she'd answer my phone when I was in the bathroom, talking to my mom like she lived here. The receipts I found in his jacket, dinner for 2 at Romano's, the place we went for our anniversary. Work dinner, he said when I asked. Didn't even look up from his phone. One night, 7 months pregnant, I asked him to help me put together the crib. He was scrolling through something, half watching TV. Can't it wait, he said. I'm tired. But he wasn't too tired to text someone back immediately. The phone lit up, a message from Jess with a heart emoji. I saw it for just a second before he turned the screen away. That's when I knew. But knowing and accepting are different things. I kept cooking his favorite meals. Kept pretending everything was normal. Kept telling myself that once the baby came, we'd find our way back to each other. I was so stupid. The first appointment he missed, I told myself it was traffic. The second time, he texted 5 minutes before, stuck at work. Sorry. No, how did it go, afterward? No questions about the baby's health. Nothing. I started going alone. The ultrasound tech would ask, "Where's Dad today?" and I'd smile and lie. Work emergency. You know how it is. But I knew how it really was. He was with her. Jessica would text me constantly. How are you feeling? Need anything? Want company? At first, I was grateful. Then I realized she was fishing for information. When would I be at appointments? When would I be alone? She was mapping out my schedule so she could be with my husband. The night I went into labor, I called Michael first. Straight to voicemail. Then I called Jessica. She picked up on the first ring. Oh my God, are you okay? She said, breathless. I think it's time, I managed between contractions. Don't move. I'm coming right now. She showed up in 15 minutes, hair wet, smelling like soap and sex. She helped me to the car, drove like a maniac to the hospital. Did you reach Michael? She asked. I shook my head. He's not answering. She made a sound, half sympathy, half something else. Something that sounded almost like satisfaction. At the hospital, she held my hand while they checked me in. I'm going to step out and try to call him, she said. I'll be right back. She never came back. An hour passed. Then 2. I texted Michael, I'm in labor. Please come. No response. I called, voicemail. The nurse asked if someone was coming to support me. I said yes, lying through gritted teeth. When I asked the front desk if Jessica was still there, they said she'd left 20 minutes after we arrived. She got a call and rushed out, the receptionist said. Seemed urgent. Urgent. Right. My phone buzzed once, a text from Jessica, something came up. Hope everything goes well. That was it. No explanation. No apology. Just, nothing. I gave birth alone. To a beautiful baby boy named David. When they placed him on my chest, I cried, but not from joy. From the realization that the 2 people I loved most in the world had abandoned me at the moment I needed them most. The nurse asked if I wanted to call anyone. I said no. Then I saw the email. Michael had filed for custody of Emma that morning at 9:47 a.m. While I was in labor. While his son was being born. He'd claimed I was an unfit mother, unstable, unable to provide proper care. I stared at the screen until the words blurred together. Then I set the phone down and looked at my son. He was perfect. Tiny fingers, button nose, eyes that would probably be brown like mine. Hi, I whispered. I'm your mom. And I'm going to protect you from all of this. That's when I stopped crying and started planning. I called my friend Sarah first. We'd been roommates in nursing school, and she worked in family law now. She answered on the second ring. Rain? What's wrong? I need a lawyer, I said. And I need one fast. By the time they discharged me, I had 3 things, a custody lawyer, a private investigator, and a plan. Phase 1 was simple, documentation. I kept copies of everything, Michael's work schedule, Jessica's visits, the text messages, the receipts. I installed a security camera by the front door. Legal in our state as long as it only recorded common areas. Phase 2 was patience. I waited. Watched. Let them think they were winning. Michael came home the day after David was born, acting like nothing had happened. How's the baby? He asked, like he was asking about the weather. Fine, I said. Healthy. He nodded and went to shower. When he came out, he smelled like Jessica's perfume again. That vanilla scent she'd worn since high school. We need to talk, he said. About what? About custody. About what's best for Emma. I looked at him, really looked. The man I'd married, the father of my children, standing there with wet hair and guilt written all over his face. What do you think is best for Emma? I asked. Stability, he said. Structure. A proper home environment. And you think I can't provide that? He didn't answer right away. That told me everything. I think you're overwhelmed, he said finally. With the new baby, with work stress. Maybe it would be better if Emma stayed with me for a while. Where? I asked. At your apartment? Or at Jessica's? His face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you? We stared at each other for a long moment. Then he grabbed his keys. I'm staying at a friend's place tonight. We'll discuss this with lawyers present. After he left, I called the private investigator. How long will it take? I asked. To prove what you suspect? Give me a week, she said. To build a case that will hold up in court? Give me a month. I'll give you 2 weeks, I said. Then I'm done waiting. It took 10 days. Photos of them together at restaurants, at her apartment, at a hotel downtown. Credit card statements showing purchases I never approved. Text messages between them going back 6 months, back to when I was just starting to show. The worst part? Reading how they talked about me. How Michael complained about my pregnancy symptoms, my mood swings, my neediness. How Jessica encouraged him, told him he deserved better, told him I was holding him back. She won't even notice if you're gone more, one message read. She's too wrapped up in being pregnant to pay attention to anything else. I printed everything. Put it in a folder. Labeled it evidence. Then I filed my own custody motion. Not just for Emma, but for child support, alimony, and a restraining order preventing Michael from removing Emma from the state. He found out when the sheriff served him papers at the hospital where he worked. In front of his colleagues. In front of his boss. He called me that night, furious. What the hell is this? Exactly what it looks like, I said. You can't do this. You can't just take Emma away from me. I'm not taking her away. I'm keeping her safe. Safe from what? From whatever you and Jessica have planned next. Silence. I don't know what you think you know. I know everything, Michael. The hotel receipts. The text messages. The timeline. I know you've been planning this for months. More silence. We need to talk, he said finally. We are talking. Through lawyers. Like you wanted. I hung up. Jessica tried next. She showed up at my door the next morning, crying. Real tears, or close to it. Rain, please. Let me explain. There's nothing to explain, I said through the chain lock. It's not what you think. It's complicated. Is it? I opened the door wider. Because it looks pretty simple to me. You slept with my husband. You helped him plan to take my daughter. You abandoned me when I was in labor. What's complicated about that? She flinched like I'd slapped her. I never meant for it to happen. Which part? Sleeping with him or leaving me alone while I was giving birth? Both, she whispered. Neither. I don't know. But you did it anyway. She nodded, still crying. I loved you, I said. I trusted you with everything. And you used that trust to destroy my family. I'm sorry, she said. I'm so sorry. I know, I said. But sorry doesn't fix this. I closed the door. The custody hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. Michael's lawyer tried to paint me as unstable, emotional, unable to cope with single motherhood. He brought up my work hours, my recent behavioral changes, my inability to maintain family relationships. Sarah, my lawyer, let him talk. Then she stood up with a folder in her hand. Your Honor, I'd like to present evidence that Mr. Thompson has been engaged in an extramarital affair with the plaintiff's sister for the past 6 months, during which time he has been financially and emotionally abandoning his pregnant wife and existing child. She presented the photos, the texts, the credit card statements, the hotel receipts, the timeline showing how he'd filed for custody while I was in labor. Michael's lawyer objected. The judge overruled. Furthermore, Sarah continued, Mr. Thompson has systematically isolated his wife from her support system by involving her sister in this affair, leaving her without family support during a vulnerable time. The judge looked at Michael. Is this accurate, Mr. Thompson? Michael's lawyer whispered something to him. He nodded. Your Honor, my client admits to the relationship but maintains that this doesn't affect his ability to parent. It affects his character, the judge interrupted. And his judgment. Filing for custody while your wife is in labor shows a concerning lack of empathy and poor decision-making. The ruling came down an hour later. I retained primary custody of both children. Michael got supervised visitation pending a psychological evaluation. Jessica was named as a contributing factor to the family's instability and was prohibited from being present during Michael's visits. Outside the courthouse, reporters were waiting. Michael's affair had somehow become public knowledge. Sarah claimed she had no idea how. He tried to walk past them, but one shoved a microphone in his face. Mr. Thompson, any comment on the custody ruling? He kept walking. I passed him without a word. That night, I sat on the porch with David in my arms, Emma asleep inside. The baby monitor crackled softly beside me. I should have felt victorious, but I just felt tired. My mom came out, handed me a cup of tea. You did what you had to do, she said. I nodded. You were never loud about being hurt, she added. Even as a kid, you just carried it. I looked at her. And now? She smiled. Now you put it down. A week later, a package arrived with no return address. Inside was a baby blanket, soft and blue, with a note, I'll never forgive myself, but I hope someday he will. J. I put the blanket in a drawer. Not in the trash, some things don't belong there. But not in my life either. Some things just exist, holding space for what used to be. 6 months later, I heard Michael had lost his job. The hospital had a strict policy about personal conduct. Jessica had moved to another state, her social media accounts all deleted, her phone number changed. I didn't feel sorry for them. But I didn't celebrate either. I just felt done. Emma started kindergarten that fall. On the first day, she asked why Daddy wasn't there to see her off. Daddy lives somewhere else now, I said. But you'll see him on weekends. Why doesn't he live with us anymore? I knelt down to her level. Sometimes grown-ups make choices that change things. But you know what doesn't change? What? How much I love you. And how much Daddy loves you. That's always going to be the same. She seemed satisfied with that. Kids are resilient that way. That night, after both kids were asleep, I sat at the kitchen table with a notebook. I'd started writing again, little things. Memories I wanted to keep, thoughts I needed to work through. I wrote, today Emma started school. She was brave. Braver than I was when this all started. But we're both learning. We're both becoming who we're supposed to be. I closed the notebook and looked around the house, my house now. It was quiet, but not empty. It was clean, but lived in. It was ours. Some nights I still dream about that day in the hospital. About being alone, about the email, about the choice between fighting and surrendering. But I don't wake up angry anymore. I wake up grateful. Grateful that I chose to fight. Grateful that I found my voice. Grateful that my children will grow up knowing their mother didn't give up when things got hard. Have you ever had to choose between being kind and being strong? Tell me where you're listening from, I'd love to know. And if this story found you when you needed it, subscribe for more. Because sometimes we don't just survive, we become who we were always meant to be. We rebuild. We reclaim. We rise.